Beyond the Obvious. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book Breeds to Light and Love, none other than Mr. Micheal Waters. Welcome, Mr. Micheal,
Thank you.
on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more by yourself that I missed?
Yes, my name is Micheal Waters. I have, with my wife, I have written a book about our experiences doing psychopomp work, and there was Native American spirits that were actually in our backyard, believe it or not, and they asked us to learn how to do this work, and they told us that they would train us to do this. So in 2014, my wife began getting lucid dreams that Native Americans were in the backyard, which we knew that there was a Native American burial ground there somewhere. We didn't know exactly where. And she began making contact with these in, like I say, lucid dreams. And we decided not to sell the house, which we were planning on moving to a warmer climate from Seattle because the winters are kind of cold and gray and rainy. And we decided to stay put and just see how this all played out. And so she learned how to do this work. She was a little psychic and very sensitive. And eventually I learned also how to do this work from her. And I used shamanic traveling to communicate because I wasn't as psychic as she was. And that is how we began to do this psychopomp work.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Micheal. Thank you. So today let's talk about the shamanism and the shamanic journeys or travels. So if someone completely new to this concept, how would you define a shamanic journey? What is the core of empirical shift that differentiate it from meditation or guided visualization?
Mhm. Well, I should probably preface this with the Native American spirits in our backyard that asked us to do the psychopomp work, also asked us to study shamanism. And they referenced a book called The Way of the Shaman, written by an author named, uh, right behind me, can't think of it. Oh, Michael Harner. Michael Harner. And he was very instrumental in teaching us how to do this shamanic journey work, shamanic travels. And his concept was that he would use rhythmic drumming, very fast drumming, like ba 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 ba, and it causes your brain to go into a meditative state, much like binaural beats or some of the other sound induced mind altering things that can happen. The other way that some shamans used to do this, especially Native Americans and South Americans, is they used to use hallucinogens. It's not necessary to use the hallucinogens if you do this rhythmic drumming, and so that's what we opted for.
Interesting, Mr. Michael. So the word shaman originate from specific indigenous cultures. As a
Right.
modern practitioner, how do we honor these roots while making the core practices accessible in a contemporary, cultural, respectful way?
That's a good question. And I think how I would answer that is that, especially since COVID, people are looking for answers that traditional society, traditional religion is not giving them. And so they're going back to the ways that are very old and time tested, like shamanism. Uh, and basically, shamanism is not a religion, it's a way of looking at the world. And it all starts with animism, which is kind of another college word. And it basically is the belief that all things have a soul. and that everything needs respect, from the biggest whale down to the most subatomic particle. Everything has a soul. We are all connected. We are all a part of this rhythm and this web, they call it, of life. And our how would I say, our sensibilities, like I say, are all interconnected, because at the time of the Big Bang, we were everything in the universe was compressed to the size of a pea, believe it or not, and then it exploded. So the compression are forced us to all be, I guess, combined or mixed, or I'm not really sure, because that was a very long time ago and I wasn't there. At least I don't remember it. And spirits are eternal. It's like you cannot uh, make or destroy energy. You can just change its form. So basically, when we die, we change form. We change form into pure energy, and then we come back into Earth and learn what we need to learn.
Hmm. Well, interesting, Mr. Michael. So, shamanic journey is often described as a technology of a consciousness. From your perspective, what is the primary problem it resolves if the need it addresses for the modern human psyche?
It's basically a way to get in touch with your higher self. When we are born into these bodies, we have well. Let's start off with, because of quantum physics, the world is a multi-dimensional, or I should say, the universe is a multi-dimensional entity, and part of our protection device is having a soul that is guided by a higher self, or a spirit guide, or something that is looking in on us and making sure that we're okay. And shamanic journeying is a way to get in touch with that wisdom, that ancient wisdom.
Ancient wisdom indeed. So, Mr. Michael, a key concept is the three worlds or three worlds: lower, middle, and upper. Are these literal places metaphors for states of mind or something else entirely? How do you introduce them to beginners?
That's a very good question. Usually, when you first travel, you do your shamanic travels, you start with the lower world, because that's where supposedly the shamans say all creation started. It's a little bit easier to navigate. So the lower world is very pristine and pure, and you can get that's where most of your spirit guides seem to come from. When I was studying this and connecting with my spirit guides, that's where I connected with him through, at least that realm. The middle world is the living world. That's the world that we live in. And it can be it's hard to get information from the living world, because it is very, how would I say, it's hard to trust. It's hard to trust because there's so much going on. There's so much deception. I'm not saying that there's a lot of bad people around there. Well, some of them are, but I mean, basically, the middle world can be very, very difficult to navigate, and so you're not going to get very pure advice. You're not going to be able to get too much contact with your higher self, your spirit guides, or anything like that. It's just for humanity to come from, and to live in. And when you die, you either go to the upper world, or you go to the lower world, which is not hell. It's not hell at all. It's just a different
Mm.
place. It's just a different place. And then the upper world is where you tend to get that is where you will make contact with your higher self, because your higher self is an elevated version of you. It's a version of you that you can take advice from. Uh, it's where all of the angelic realm is. It's a much higher place that possibly extraterrestrials. Some extraterrestrials are from there because they're interdimensional and they can travel to these different realms. So I'm certainly not an expert on that. All I am an expert on is what I've experienced. But that's what I experienced.
Hmm. So let's walk through the mechanics, Mr. Michael. What are the essential steps and tools a beginner to safely enter the shamanic journey state?
Well, shamanic journeying is really not very dangerous. It's very foreign, especially if you have never done it before. It can be very foreign. But for example, we went to classes in Michael Harner's institute, the anthropologist that I was talking about that wrote Way of the Shaman, and we were able to practice in a group of shamans that taught us how to do this work. So it's really not very dangerous, and it's very mind expanding.
Hmm. Mind expanding. Hmm. So, Mr. Michael, can you share a story of a powerful personal journey? What is your intention was? What is your experience in non-ordinary reality, and how the insight integrated into your daily lives afterward?
I would say one of my most profound uh, experience experiences was probably connecting with my first initial spirit guide, and it was a wolf, and I named him Lupo, and he used to guide me on many things. I would talk to him for hours sometimes about different questions that I have, because I'm a very inquisitive person, and so I had a lot of questions about a lot of things. We also got information from the tribal people that were in our backyard that were spirits. Um, but that was definitely a profound thing, to make contact with your spirit guide and actually be able to communicate with them and have discourse back and forth. So that was definitely. And what was the second part of your question? I don't quite remember.
Well, Mr. Michael, let's proceed to my next question, which is more interesting. So, how do you navigate fear or challenging encounters like shadow figures or confusing symbols within a journey? What is your potential purpose?
Well, it seems like most of the shadow figures, spirit attacks, uh, most of the negative things did not happen in a journey, because it's basically coming. I don't know if I should say coming from you or through your higher self. And so there's quite a safety factor there. I don't believe I ever had. I had some bad experiences, but none of them were with shamanic journeying. It usually had to do with spirits uh, trying to attack me, that while I was not doing a shamanic journey. For example, when I was learning how to do shamanic uh, psychopomp work that the Native Americans were teaching us how to do, one night I had a dark spirit really scare the hell out of me. I felt like I was suffocating. It felt like the thing was trying to smother me. And I had to ask my spirit guide to come and help me, which he did, and the thing went away. And so it was quite amazing. But all in all, I don't think I really had too many negative experiences with shamanic journey work. It's kind of like you're saving grace almost to learn how to do that.
Mr. Michael, you often speak bringing back medicine from a journey. What does it mean practically? How do we translate a visionary or symbolic experience into tangible change or healing?
Well, that's a good question, and I guess it would depend on your level of connectedness to the spirit world, because there's a lot of wisdom and there's a lot of healing there. I never really, I mean, we did psychopomp work, which is assisting people into the light, assisting people after they died to go where they're supposed to ultimately go. But I met people who could see auras and they could tell you whether you have a particular sickness, and then you would usually go to a doctor, like a Western doctor, and they would handle whatever the problem was: cancer, blood problems, heart problems, inflammation, whatever it was, stomach problems. Uh, but a lot of these shamanic uh, seers, I guess you'd call them, could see the illness, and they could tell people about it, and then they could get the proper type of help that they needed, because it was not being diagnosed by Western medicine, but Western medicine a lot of times had what that person needed if they just knew about it. And so the shamanic way of seeing this helped a lot of people that I know of personally to get rid of their illness.
Mm. Get rid of the illness. We love that. Mr. Michael will like that. So let's talk about the ritual and the practical application. In shamanic practices, illnesses is something viewed as the soul loss or spiritual imbalance. How does journeying address this, and what does soul retrieval feel like for the recipient?
Eat that last. Could the soul be like what?
Yes. So in soul retrieval
Uh
feels
huh.
like.
Uh huh. Okay. Well, my wife actually went through that. She had a very difficult childhood, and we were at one of these places that we found out later were kind of a, I'm not sure what you'd call it, a place where Native American spirits gathered. And it was on the Olympic Peninsula, and it was beautiful. And they actually did a soul retrieval for my wife. There was, I guess the best way to explain this is, you're from just life, certain parts of your soul get fragmented and they get broken off, like say almost like a spiritual arm or something, falls off, and you know you don't have it anymore. Well, it's the same with your soul. There are many aspects to your soul, and if you've had a very difficult upbringing or experience, or abusive parent or spouse, or let's say you were kidnapped, or there's all types of different traumas that people suffer. And so it's definitely shamanic work can help you at what we were just talking about, the soul retriever. So when you do soul retrieval, it basically brings that portion of your soul back. And the best lady that I read was called Sandra Ingerman, and she I did some wonderful books. In fact, I got some her books right behind me.
So, Mr. Michael, what does a shamanic diagnosis look like? How does information gathered in a journey differ from, say, a medical or psychological diagnosis?
Well, it's all intuitive. There's no MRIs, there's no X-rays, there's no uh, physical tools other than your own perception in your mind, and the seeing that people have when they can see these illnesses in people, and it's quite remarkable, as especially auras. You know, people, because we have in all of the chakras, we have auras, and the auras can really signal where you're having problems in your body. And the people that can see auras and see what color is coming through or not coming through can really help people diagnose where their problem lies in their body.
Mm, yes, definitely. Interesting, Mr. Michael. Interesting. So, how do you integrate the profound, non ordinary experiences from a journey into a mundane reality of work, relationships, and daily responsibilities?
Learning how to do all of these shamanic work, psychopomp work has changed my life forever because before we had these experiences, uh, I don't know if I mentioned I grew up as a Catholic and kind of eventually just kind of faded away from that because the Catholic Church, although it was well meaning, like almost all of the religions are, didn't answer all the questions that I had. And it wasn't until I got to shamanism, and I still believe in some things that the Catholic Church does or believes in, but I like to be more all inclusive. I think my spirituality right now includes all religions plus shamanism. Everything is included because everybody has a truth to tell, no matter what religion you are or not a religion. I mean, sometimes atheists have very good insights into things. So it just depends on what you're looking at, when you're looking at it, who you're looking at it with. You know, it all depends.
Definitely, it depends, people. And Mr. Michael, if we face a global challenges, what role do you see from shamanic practices and the wisdom they access in helping to heal our collective world?
Well, that's a very poignant question because we just went through COVID. And it's one reason why a lot of people, I think, were backing away from some of the traditional churches and they were considering shamanism and maybe some of the Eastern religions that they never did before because they tended to answer some of the questions that traditional Christianity, Jewish faith, Islam maybe didn't answer. And it's mainly where I should say, how should I say this? It's not cut and dried. That's what I want to say. You don't be born, live a life, evaluate at the end of your life by some St. Peter or whoever, whether you've done a good or bad job of controlling your life or managing your life, and then you either go to heaven or hell, and it's an end of story. It's not like that at all. It's far more complex. And from what I saw in the spirit world that we worked it with, because like I say, I was inquisitive and I asked a lot of questions. There is so much movement and change and people doing particular jobs. Like, for example, uh, my wife passed away that I wrote the book with, Kathy, in June of 2020. And I was in contact with her, of course, because I had that skill already. And she said that she had gotten a job up there. And I was like, really? Well, what's the job? I couldn't even imagine. She used to be a teacher. And she said, I teach young souls to kind of like almost like remote viewing, to view what type of life they're going to have and be able to choose what type of life they wanted to be incarnated into. And that was her job. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And it was right up her alley because she was a teacher and she was good at that and she loved doing that. And so, and she said, I'll do this for a while. And then I said, well, what will you do after that? She goes, I don't know. I'll do something else. And I was like, okay. So there's a lot of movement in the afterlife.
Mr. Michael, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course, my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101, our fifth season. Science 101, Sex 101 in its fourth season, and Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Book Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Michael, finally, for someone curious and respectful who wants to take the first step, what is your strongest piece of practical advice for the beginning their own exploration of shamanic journey?
Well, probably to do exactly what we did was, and that was to study the book by Michael Harner called Way of the Shaman. And you can take classes in his institute also, and they're not very expensive. And that's a good way to learn shamanism.
Hmm. Yes, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Michael. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Basically, right now, I'm just trying to work on a speaking career. I'm trying to uh, jumpstart my speaking career, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these podcasts.
Okay. So, Mr. Michael, so where do people can buy your book?
Well, I'm giving the book away actually, uh, because I never wrote it for to make profit. I just wrote it because the Native Americans asked me to put the word out.
Mhm.
So if you if you would like to have a copy of the book, I can send you a link, and uh, my address, my email address is Waters WATERSM105 at gmail.com, and I will send you the link.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Michael Waters because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this will rise. So, Mr. Michael, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Daniel.
Monica, people, see you soon.